What is going on, everyone? It is Tyler McKinney back here again. And listen, for today, I figured we'd go back to the normal setup, change things back up to the normal way to do things. Let's sit down and let's discuss it and let's take it on here. So today, I'm first going to preface it by saying this. Listen, during this kind of crazy time where we've had such weird sports and things like that, football was weird to me. I'm just going to come out and say that. It was very, very hard for me to get into. I had a hard time getting into football this past year, whether it be college or pro. It just didn't feel right. It was just all around weird. I had a really hard time getting into sports and that with it. Haven't gotten into basketball, will not be picking up basketball for multiple reasons, and we're not going to get into that. But I did get into a couple of things, and today we're going to talk about one of them. Yes, I got back into my love and my passion for professional wrestling. Yes, that's right. Whew. Feels good to say it. I like saying it. And today we're going to go over 3 reasons why you should get into professional wrestling. Now, before we get into that, though, I'm going to give you a little bit of history. Little look back into little Tyler and what he did when he was younger. Now, listen. When I was a young fella growing up, when I was a young kid, we watched professional wrestling. We got together, a whole bunch of my dad's friends and my friends and that, they would all get together. We would buy the pay-per-views and we would watch. And we watched the Royal Rumble. We watched SummerSlam. We would watch WrestleMania. Watch Hulk Hogan beat the snot out of Sergeant Slaughter, or, the reveal of The Undertaker and how crazy scary he was at the time. Macho Man Randy Savage off of the top rope. I loved professional wrestling. I had all sorts of wrestling figurines. I don't know, maybe you've had them too. I mean, I had the wrestling ring. I had the Hulk Hogan, where he did the bear hug with his arms. I had the ones where he body slammed. I had Ultimate Warrior. I had Undertaker, the old school cool Undertaker with, he had kind of like the purpley type of things going on. I guess there's some people call it the Phantom of the Opera look. I had that one. I had Earthquake. I think I had, I had Big Boss Man. I definitely had Sergeant Slaughter. I had Jake the Snake Roberts. All sorts of different slew of guys. I mean, I had a whole bundle of them, and I used to play with them. I used to do a Royal Rumble with them and that. And just over time, I kind of, quit. Slowly watched less and less and less and kind of got out of it there for a little bit. But over the past year, I kind of got into AEW, and since kind of the whole lockdown COVID thing has taken over, I really gotten back into it a lot. And just to say, right now is the time to get into professional wrestling. Professional wrestling right now is really kind of, it really is a neat time in professional wrestling. So I want to put this out there. If you haven't gotten into professional wrestling before, if you've never tried it out, if you think it's hokey, yes, it is hokey, and that's okay. You got to remember that it's okay. This is professional wrestling. This is what it's about. But trust me, try it. It's not for everybody. Listen, there are things that are not for me, and I'm going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you my biases, what I like and what I don't like, and I'm going to tell you that I love professional wrestling. And professional wrestling for me has just been so much fun to watch and to get back into that. I'm just going to start doing videos on it because it's one of the things that I really enjoy right now, and that with it. So, without further ado, let's start with number 1. That's right. Number 1, the very first reason why is because it's competition. You got literally 2 guys out there beating the snot out of each other. What can you not like about that? I mean, get it. I get what you're saying. Tyler, you know it's not real. You know it's not real, right, man? Yes, I get it. I know that it's not real, but these guys are legitimately doing athletic moves. Seriously, the flips and the stuff the guys do off of the top rope, if you haven't checked out my man Ray Phoenix, you need to look at it because that's definitely what he does all of the time. And then you got these big dudes who are just rocking people. I mean, you've got these mammoths of men who are out there, and these guys are putting their bodies on the line, all to have some silly belt and to beat the snot out of each other. I love it. It's fantastic. It's great. And it truly is an athletic feat to watch these guys and the things that they do. Truly, they are world-class athletes, and I don't want to take anything from them with that by saying it's not real, this and that. Listen, they're week in and week out, these guys are putting on their bodies on the line, and you have to give them something for that with it. And trust me, not a lot of guys can go out there and do these type of things that they do, these high-flying moves, these acrobatic moves, taking, the beating that they do week in and week out, the toll that it takes on their bodies. Trust me when I say that these guys are truly competitors and athletes, and it's just fun to watch them in that realm. And again, I know that things are predetermined, but when you see them in the ring and they're working with one another, it's just neat to see when the guys have such chemistry and they're going back and forth and beating the snot out of each other. When you got two guys who are really, really good at their craft, it really, really makes you not only think that they're really getting beat up, but also takes you to that another level of interest. And it brings me to my second point of why I love professional wrestling. Story. Professional wrestling is all about telling a story. And if you know, I'm a sucker for a good story. And no, this isn't going to be the fantasy story where we're going off to a far off land and going to fight a dragon. I'm talking about the storylines between the drama between this guy and the drama between this guy. Listen, I get it. It's soap opera for dudes. Who cares? I know that there are ladies out there that love it too. It's pretty much a soap opera. I get it. Don't care. I love it. Listen, I got a reason. Give me a reason why this guy's beating up this guy, and I'm all the more into it. And even more on top of that, you know that I'm a guy who likes to get into the X's and O's of things and really look in and dive into stuff with it. And you can do that in wrestling. When you actually get into some of these matches, these guys, they'll take the story even further and show, if this is a feud and this rivalry runs deep and dirty, and it shows that with it. You got these guys who, you've got heels and you got baby faces, and you can probably figure out which is which. Heels are the bad guys, baby faces are the good guys, and then you've got this other group kind of that have transcended that, and they call him the anti-hero or whatever, and pretty much it's kind of a guy that's not really good, is not really bad. Falls on kind of the side of just kind of, taking up that mantle of really being the hero, but he's not a hero. But in this face, you got your baby faces and your heels. And listen, it's just fantastic when you got a guy being dastardly and he just gets punched in the face. It is just fantastic to see a guy get what he deserves with it. And also, too, when, in the times in which we live today, it's good just to see, the baby face getting beaten down week in and week out and finally getting that opportunity and rising above the rest. And so, when I look at this, I love how these storylines can go anywhere. And right now is the perfect time for that because the storylines have completely opened up. They talk about the forbidden door. If you're watching, listen, I love professional wrestling. Right now, there are just places where professional wrestling are just being done the best to me. And I think that, like WWE, the main roster, they've got some good products out there. And if you ask me, now, it's good, and the top guys are truly, working it on SmackDown and Raw. Don't get me wrong with that. They've lost their luster with me, and I could be a little bit jaded, which is totally fine, and I'll take that with it. But if you ask me right now where it's at is in AEW, their crossover stuff, and what they're doing with Impact Wrestling. And I'll be getting more into Impact Wrestling. I think that what they're doing right now, the way that they're building their brand back up, is really, really good. But the storylines in AEW, in Impact Wrestling, are really, really intriguing right now. They really have you hooked. They understand how to write a story for professional wrestling to get you engaged and get you involved, which makes it feel not too pushed, not too pressured in. You're hooked. You're hooked for the right reasons. One of the things with this whole COVID is we've had to try to figure out things without fans, and wrestling's kind of figured out how to work without fans. Trust me, I would love to have fans there. A lot of these things would be getting a lot more pop and working a lot better than what they do when they cut their promos and things of that nature. But wrestling is one of the few things that it's figured out how to live without fans, or at least put out a product without fans. I don't know how much more they'll be able to go without actually being able to do shows with fans and bring in money that way. We'll see how that goes. But right now, I really like those two promotions. NXT is fairly good. The problem is that, and I'll do another video on this, is that instead of it being kind of a third brand, it's still kind of that little brother to Raw and SmackDown, and so it's tough to really give it that top echelon as you do some of the others, because it totes itself as almost the minor leagues, and my thought process on minor leagues with that. But story, oh my gosh, there's some great storylines that are going on right now, and cross promotion, which we've never seen before. They're calling it breaking open the forbidden door, and that these promotions that are working together now, whereas as matches you never would have seen in days gone by, are now able to do it because these promotions are working with one another, and they're doing storylines with one another, and they're actually turning out really, really good, and I'm really liking the product with them. So it's really, really good stuff that's happening, really, really nice things with it. And the third and final reason is what else you gonna watch? There ain't a whole lot else out there right now. There aren't a lot of other sports right now. There isn't the alternative football that's out there. Yes, I get it's the FCF, the fan-controlled football is out there right now, and you can kind of watch that. But really, there isn't a whole lot. So why not take a shot on wrestling? I mean, you pretty much can pick your night. You've got Raw on Monday night. You've got Impact Wrestling on Tuesday night, and also AEW Dark. You've got AEW on Wednesday night, and MLW if you're into kind of that type of stuff. And NXT, can't forget NXT on Wednesday night. Thursday night, it looks like we're going to have an American New Japan professional wrestling show on Thursday night, and Friday night SmackDown. So pretty much you can try any night of the week you want and watch some wrestling. But listen, it's been fantastic. It's been great. And yes, I get it. It's hokey. And, Tyler, it's not exactly, this, I get that. But listen, right now, for me, it's about entertainment, it's about enjoyment, and it's about not wasting my time and just enjoying the time that I have when I'm watching sports. And you know what? I'll give it it's not true sports entertainment, but it's athletic feats as well. And so I'm going to give it its due with that. But that's kind of my final plea. My third reason is why not? What else is there right now? There really isn't that out there to really grab your interest and to really, if you're a guy like me looking for that thing, this might just be that for you. And maybe you've been waiting for a while for me to sit down and do this. You're like, Tyler, I've been a professional wrestling fan for years. I've just never knew that there were others of us out there. Or, you're like, I've been waiting for you to do this on your channel. Why don't you do more of this stuff? You're welcome. So those are my three reasons. The question is what do you think? I'd love to know your reasons down in the comment section. Let me know what your thoughts are on professional wrestling. I'd love to hear them, even if you think that I'm totally off. I'm totally okay with that, because I know not everything's for everybody. And this might not be for you, but try it. You might be surprised. All right, guys, I know that you're busy. I know that I'm busy, so let's get on out of here. You have a good night. Bye.